I think the government has fundamentally missed the point when it comes to how to encourage young people at no risk from COVID-19 to get vaccinated. Let's be honest, what is a small but significant risk to their health. In the US, the CDC and most politicians have got this one right. Getting jabbed there now equals total freedom. Once you've got the vaccine, there will no longer be any unnecessary state sanctions on the way you live your life. Now, by the way, let me stress, I'm not for a single second encouraging a two-tier society. You should know by now I don't believe in vaccine passports or coercion of any kind. Citizens should be able to make their own choice about what they put in their body and which parts of their body they cover up. This government is fast slipping down a slippery slope towards a biosecurity state, and I deplore it. But my point is, why the hell would hesitant young people bother to get vaccinated if they know it still doesn't mean a return to freedom? So let's take travel, for example. Even those who have been double jabbed still have to quarantine on return from France because it's been added to this maddening new Amber Plus list. Spain and Greece could be added too. Or what about the ridiculous contact tracing scheme that will still see you literally be a prisoner in your house for 10 days, regardless of your vaccination status or whether you've got COVID or not? So the government is now hurtling towards the worst of both worlds. On the one hand, plotting the introduction of vaccine passports, which is highly divisive and a highly divisive way to try and force young folk into having an injection they're not totally comfortable with. So what's the best way forward? Well, I think it's supportive education, not coercion, and true freedom for all. Right now, even young people who have helped wider society by having the vaccine remain trapped in a COVID prison, unable to travel and unable to live their lives freely. That is a massive own goal. DOMINIC Cummings has yet again proven he's a disloyal swine. Last year, I supported the Prime Minister when he backed Cummings in the face of a tidal wave of media and public backlash over his Barnard Castle expedition. I mean, for me, I actually love the fact the PM was putting personal loyalty above politics. How wrong he was and how wrong I was. Cummings has literally thrown that loyalty back into Boris's face time and again. And here's another example from his bombshell interview with the BBC in the past 2 hours.
Within months of the Prime Minister winning the biggest Conservative majority in decades, you and a few others from the Vote Leave campaign were discussing the possibility of getting rid of him.
Days, not months.
Within days of the election, you were discussing getting rid of him?
Yes. Well, for all the reasons we've been discussing. He doesn't have a plan, he doesn't know how to be Prime Minister, and we'd only got him in there because we had to solve a certain problem, not because we thought that he was the right person to run in the country.
Well, what kind of con had you just pulled off on the British public then, if that's really what you think?
Well, it's not. I don't think it's a con. We're trying to solve very hard problems in the order that we can solve them in.
I mean, this was an extraordinary interview. DOMINIC Cummings also claimed that Boris Johnson says his real boss is the Daily Telegraph newspaper, his old newspaper that he used to write a column for. But I think what I find most grim is the revealing of private text messages that Boris sent Cummings, exploring ideas and potential policies at moments of great frustration during the COVID crisis. Because it's not what Boris thought at a particular moment that I think he should be judged on. It's what he did. Cummings' latest revelations on the BBC, in my opinion, don't actually make the Prime Minister look too bad. Because while Cummings has tried to paint him as someone heartless, to me, what I'm about to share with you shows that he was actively considering ways to avoid locking the country down again, which is very important. So on October the 15th, according to DOMINIC Cummings, Boris texted him saying, "I must say I have been slightly rocked by some of the data on COVID fatalities. The median age is 82, 81 for men, 85 for women. That is above life expectancy. So get COVID and live longer. Hardly anyone under 60 goes into hospital, and of those, virtually all survive." Boris Johnson went on in this apparent text message to DOMINIC Cummings. And I no longer buy all this NHS overwhelmed stuff. Folks, I think we may need to recalibrate. There are max 3 million in this country aged over 80. It shows we don't go for nationwide lockdown. Now, that might not be a politically palatable message, but what Boris was expressing was a correct frustration about the massive collateral damage caused by lockdowns, both in terms of the nation's health, wealth and freedoms. I believe Cummings is misrepresenting the conversations to try and suggest the Prime Minister doesn't care about people dying from COVID, which, given he did end up plunging the country back into more lengthy lockdowns, simply doesn't add up. There's also a real irony that Cummings is doing this interview with the BBC, an organisation we all remember he once vowed to destroy. Cummings, it seems, will throw out whatever morals he once had in his craven desire to try and get Boris out of office. To me, it's actually really sad to witness. Another shocking record was broken on the Channel today, with 430 illegal migrants arriving, including a group of 30 on the beach at Old Stairs Bay in Kent. There have already been 8,187 arriving in small boats this year, meaning we'll break last year's record of 8,420 crossings, potentially within the week. Of course, it looks like the dinghies were, as usual, filled with young men. And remember, these are only the illegal entries we know about. The government must take urgent action because genuine asylum seekers are being pushed aside by this wave of illegal people smuggling. It's a disgrace that needs to be stopped. What form of bizarre psychological torture are the organisers of the Olympics putting our great athletes through, given they have already had to deal with a 1-year delay and the spectre of contracting COVID ruining their dreams? Now, Toshiro Muto, the head of the Tokyo Olympics Organising Committee, says he's not ruling out an 11th hour cancellation of the entire Games. What the actual hell? This is what he said at a press conference.
今後どうなるかっていうのは我々ちょっと予断を許しません。ですから
We can't predict, so what he said, we can't predict what will happen with the number of coronavirus cases, so we will continue discussions if there is a spike in cases. We have agreed that based on the coronavirus situation, we will convene 5-party talks again. At this point, the coronavirus cases may rise or fall, so we will think about what we should do when the situation arises. I find this position absolutely unbelievable. Given athletes and officials are gathering from all over the world, cases were always inevitable. There's been 68 thus far. But the Games must go on for the good of the world. Welcome to the GB News YouTube channel. You can watch us live 24 hours a day, catch up on your favourite shows and join in the conversation in the comments below.
Don't forget to subscribe and you'll never miss any of our exclusive content.